And then Dave, when you are ready, you can take it away.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are meeting tonight under extraordinary circumstances. Our community, along with communities around the country and the world, have been observing social distancing and other health safety measures to allow the slow progress of the COVID-19 pandemic for many weeks. To allow normal or near normal operations of city government functions to continue, the governor of New York has declared a disaster emergency and has issued multiple executive orders, and the city of Rochester mayor has issued several local emergency orders, which together authorize the holding of this hearing virtually, subject to waivers of certain requirements of the New York State Open Meetings Law and the Rochester Zoning Code. In addition, at a prior meeting, we amended the Planning Commission rules and procedures to allow us to conduct this hearing as authorized by the governor's and mayor's emergency orders, and to waive other requirements to allow us to proceed with this hearing, as I will now describe. Primarily, these waivers involve the requirement for in-person attendance at this hearing. The emergency orders permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow participant or applicant presentations and public testimony by teleconference. The written public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted by email, by hard copy document mailed to the zoning office, or deposited in secure Dropbox located in the permit office of City Hall. The deadlines for written comment submission was Friday, July 9, 2021, and the deadline to register to provide spoken comment was 12 noon p.m. today, Monday, July 12, 2021. Although the conduct of this hearing has been altered in some of its normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications of this hearing, including mail notice, publication, and posting of the notice were followed. A staff report has been prepared for each application, along with the application and other pertinent documents have been presented to the commission members and posted online several days prior to tonight's meeting. In all normal timeframes, the applicant presentation and comments in favor of or opposed to the application remain the same. Most importantly, the commission will hear, review, make decisions about all the applications with the same due diligence, using the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I would like to explain the ground rules for the hearing. When a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present their case to the commission. The applications were all posted on the city website at least a week ago and were available for public review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and include all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is presented, staff will, as reasonably as possible, identify and show pages of the application that the applicant is addressing in their presentation. Following the normal procedure, the commission members may ask the applicant questions about the application. After the application's presentation is completed, staff will read into record any public comments that were submitted after the staff report was completed and posted on the city's website. First, those in support of the application, then those in opposition. These comments will be limited to 10 minutes if they were submitted by a neighborhood association, and 3 minutes for all other comments. If the reading of the submitted comments exceed the time limits, staff will summarize the comments that will fit into the time frame. If multiple submissions repeat the same comment, staff will summarize those comments. Public comments that were not received in time to be included in the staff report will not be read into the hearing record. Also, public has an opportunity to register in advance to speak at the virtual hearing. After the comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to offer any additional testimony in rebuttal. At the conclusion of the applicant's rebuttal testimony, the case will be closed. However, if the commission determines that there's substantial new evidence has been presented by the applicant during the hearing, or either during original or rebuttal testimony, the case will be adjourned and held over to the commission's next announced hearing date in order to give the public an opportunity to review and comment on the new evidence. After completing of all the hearings of tonight's agenda, the commission may elect to take a short break, which will be announced. After the hearing and break, if any, the commission will commence deliberation and voting on all applications, except any that may have been adjourned to a future meeting date. Please note that if your case is approved tonight or today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the approval process. Before we open the first case, please note that the commission are all volunteers, and I would like to have each commissioner to introduce themselves, to confirm their presence of a roll call vote, and establish a quorum for this hearing, and introduce themselves and mention the quadrant in which they live.
Brad Flower, Southwest.
I'm Harding, East.
Milton,
Eugenio Mara, Northwest.
Milton Pichardo, Northeast. Sorry.
Marquita Williams, Southwest.
And Dave Watson, Southwest. May we have the first case, please?
Sure thing. And then I just wanted to add on one last thing. Dave, thank you so much for once again reading all of the emergency order declaration with this with that crazy time that we were in with the virtual hearing. I do want to just let everyone know who's tuning in from home that in regards to the next hearing, that emergency declaration has been lifted. So the one that had temporarily terminated the coronavirus pandemic emergency orders that waived some of the open meeting law requirement, those have been terminated. And so the next hearing, which is August 9th, 2021, will be conducted in person rather than by video conference. And that will be held at City Hall, 30 Church Street in the council chambers, which is room 302A of that building. Okay, yes, I will announce the first case. One moment now. So this is case number 1. The file number is E12122. The address is 25 Cairn Street. The zoning district is M1 Industrial with the overlay airport district. The applicant is James Hulse of Flower City Roll-Off. Their request is to establish outdoor storage of 50 to 60 empty refuse containers ranging in size from 10 to 40 cubic yards with a maximum height of 8 feet. This is an action requiring City Planning Commission approval, and this is a special permit itself.
And who do we have that will be speaking for the application? I can swear them in.
We have James Hulse and, whoops. I'll let them introduce themselves because I'm having a hard time seeing the participant list. Well, here we go.
Okay, if you'll be speaking or presenting for case 1, please introduce yourself and then I will swear you in.
So James, you can unmute yourself and then say your name for the record.
James Hulse.
All right, thank you, James. And who else will be speaking?
And then we also have Michael Montalto.
Michael, are you there?
Michael, you would just have to unmute yourself. I can ask permission to mute yourself.
Sorry, I couldn't find myself in the list.
All right, thank you, Michael. Michael and James, I will now swear you in. Just respond by saying yes, or that you agree, and give us your full name for the record. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. James Holtz.
Thank you, James.
Yes, Michael Montalto.
Thank you, Michael. And you may proceed, gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Mike Montalto with Casas Engineering. Here this evening on behalf of Jim, we are looking to redevelop a approximately 1.7 acre parcel on the west side of Karen Street. It formerly was part of the Hess Gasoline Petroleum Storage Tank Farm that was on both sides of Karen Street. James owns Flower City Roll-Off, which services the roll-off containers, not the smaller dumpsters, whatever, but has a roll-off container business, which has currently been operating in Rochester for a number of years in the city. He's looking to move his location. The nature of this facility is it would be a single 6,000 square foot building in which he repairs and maintains those roll-offs. He has approximately 350 roll-offs in his inventory. At any given time, there could be 50 or 60 of them in the site to be, hinges repaired, welded, wherever. The facility will be manned by a single person. The odd lot configuration, it's a triangular lot because Karen Street kind of runs from southwest to northeast. So it's a triangular shaped parcel. The odd configuration of the parcel itself doesn't really allow as much for a conventional front yard, backyard configuration. As you read through, I believe, Chris Snyder's zoning review relative to how we comply with the city ordinances, we are proposing storage in the, quote, front yard. It's the nature really of the way the lot is. The property was bermed in the first place as part of the bulk petroleum storage. So there's a earthen berm there in the first place, and then we're looking to put a privacy fence on top of that. So all the dumpsters, the entire operation, or not dumpsters, roll-off containers, the entire operation ends up being screened from public right-of-way. We've got, we do adjoin the Erie Canal. We have gone to SHPO. SHPO did send a letter of non-effect relative to it. The site as well, the canal is in a dug embankment situation, so it's about 40 feet lower than the site, significantly offset from the site. I believe one of the other things you'll see in your zoning audit is that we are within the 200 feet of an open space area. However, that's the hiking trail, or it's the canal properties on the western side of the canal, and the actual canal path is more than the 200 feet distance. What you've got in front of you, you can see, there's the earthen, there you go. It's heavily vegetated, to the west. It's kind of overgrown with weeds and whatever since it, the petroleum storage tanks were removed a number of years ago. There is no garbage on site. These are empty roll-off containers that are brought there for storage. It's a simple, metal style Butler building, that allows them to drive the trucks through it. Compressor inside, welder, single bathroom, pretty much an open floor plan. Connecting to, where stormwater is complying with the DEC regulations. We've been working with city staff since, I believe, November of last year relative to general questions and Department of Environmental Services and, engineer relative to the driveway location, driveway width due to the configuration of the lot and the way Karen Street aligns to it. There's a geometry that his trucks have to, turn almost 160 degrees to come into the site. So the curb cut's a little bit wider than normal to facilitate that. Again, an existing city business looking to, locate, to a primarily industrial property that already from the nature of its topography has a fair amount of screening. At this point, I guess I'd let, the commission ask questions. We can go into further detail about what we are proposing. We are primarily code compliant, have gone to SHPO, have been working with city staff, and then Jim can answer any specific questions. It is consistent, I believe, with the comprehensive plan. Visually unattractive sites acknowledge the necessary characteristics, again, the way it's being buffered and screened, and it's the way it's abutted, addresses that. It's a primarily industrial area. In fact, Jim is increasing the privacy fence on the north portion, actually to one of the industrial neighbors rather than just even the right of way, so that, the business owners in the area also won't necessarily be looking in. And, there's also a need to kind of keep, people from, since it's vacant and it's got the berms and all the rest of it, he's actually experienced where they're running their ATVs and mini bikes, through the site and kind of using it as a, off-course facility. So I think it'll kind of help, from that standpoint as well. There's adequate public utilities, and relatively simple nature, I guess, of the business that he's operating. It's a single story, 6,000 square foot building, single employee that maintain, the roll-off containers for his business. Like I said, I guess I'd turn it over for questions from the commission, first. And
All right,
then
thank you, sir.
public comment.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I've got a few, and these are in relation to questions that came to us through the community. So I appreciate this is more of a conduit, but it does open up for dialogue here. Can you walk us through the 6-foot privacy fence? I know the community is asking whether that fence is placed on top of a berm, and it's my understanding that that's not the case. But can you just kind of walk us through how the berm design and the fence design play out on the site itself?
The privacy fence is actually at the top of the berm. It's to augment that height. So, yeah, the refuse containers are 8 feet high between the earthen berm and the privacy fence. It'll be higher than any, than anything that would be able to be seen. I think if you also look at some of the neighborhood views that I provided, you get a pretty good feel of how tall the existing berm is.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
No, go ahead. Michael, you had something else you wanted to say?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Can you specify for me which privacy fence we're referring to it? Which property line is the one on top of the berm?
Both the north and eastern sides have fence. See the line with the squares in it? And it says
So this is
proposed 6.
this is the one on top of the
Yes,
berm.
that is correct. That is
Okay.
correct.
All right. Thank
All right, any other questions for the applicant? Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Anna, did we have any testimony that needs to be read into the record?
Yes, we have one member of the public who signed up to speak,
Oh, okay.
and that is John DeMont.
And I will, once John gets on board, I will swear him in. John, are you there?
Okay,
Oh, there's John. All right, John, let me swear you in,
please.
and just respond by either saying yes or no, and then give us your full name for the record. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name?
My name is John Dumont.
Thank you, John. You may proceed.
94 Genesee Park Boulevard. And we'd like to speak in approval of this, but ask for some conditions. This is a good thing. We're seeing land developed that we thought would never be developed. It was tank farms as long as I can remember, and now it's going to have a good use and will add to our tax base. So that is good. And I'd like to, we'd like to support this, but ask for some conditions. And then I'm going to talk about some other things. But a number of you mentioned you'd been to the site and you'd taken a look at it. And as you drove by, you could see the berm really prevented you from seeing into it. And that's a very good thing. Across the street from that on the east side of Karen Street is what I would call a textbook example of what not to do. And they are in code enforcement. So I wanted to make sure that the violations across the street from this property didn't set your standard for approval. This one, a lot of thought's gone into this, and I can tell design from Costitch to achieve what we're looking for as a community is that from our gateway street, which is Chile Avenue, it's a gateway to the city from Gates, that we not be able to see the operation of the storage units. So with a combination of the berm and the fence, as far as I can see, they've done a good job at preventing visibility into the site particularly from Chile Avenue. We care less about Karen Street. It's an industrial street, and there are lots of, I don't want to say unsightly items, but industrial type things that don't belong in a commercial corridor. And those are well hidden from view from Chile Avenue, and this would be well hidden. The conditions we're asking for, and I should say the conditions really help us. When the code inspectors go back to verify compliance 6 months from now, a year from now, those conditions stand right out. They often don't drag the site plan along, but they do have the conditions in their hands. So if you could put conditions on it, it'd be great. First is that no debris is stored on site. And I think that was stated in their plan. So no debris stored on site. Second is the roll-offs have to arrive empty. So this isn't a depot for construction debris. Construction debris has been left somewhere else and the roll-offs arrive empty. So no debris stored on site, roll-offs arrive empty. The roll-off containers will never be stacked. And they state that, but it'd be helpful to have that as a condition so it doesn't, so it's clear to an inspector. And then the one that may have already been answered for us, but the berms are so important from a visibility standpoint, particularly the berm along Karen Street. And as Mr. Montala mentioned, that berm is intended to stay, and it's 5 foot high, according to my topographical map, and it has a 6 foot fence on top of it. So that gives us 11 feet of coverage as seen from Chile Avenue or Karen Street. So all of the containers would be hidden, as well as about, more than half of the 20 foot high building. So we'd like to ask as a condition that eastern berm be retained so that it never goes away in the future. Our 4 conditions are no debris stored on site, roll-offs arrive empty, roll-offs containers are never stacked, and that eastern berm is retained in perpetuity. So with that, we're happy. This is a good thing. It's a business, as one of the commissioners mentioned, Flower City, roll-offs are seen not only throughout our neighborhood, but throughout our city and county. And we're happy that this business has chosen to stay in our neighborhood. It's had difficulty finding a good site. Looks like they finally found a good site. And we would suggest that the board approve this. And if you agree with us, attach some conditions. Any questions?
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. All right,
Thank you.
John. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night. Anna, do we have anyone else that is speaking in this? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, Tanya.
Can you come back?
I'm back.
Sorry. Can you just confirm whether you're speaking in your individual capacity or on behalf of the neighborhood association?
I'm sorry. I'm speaking on behalf of the 19th Ward Community Association. I'm the chair of their zoning team, and our team reviewed the whole staff report. So we make consensus decisions. So what I say, the conditions I just stated were a consensus of our zoning team in the 19th Ward Community Association.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Anna, anyone else that we need to hear from?
No, that
Testimony?
was the only testimony.
Okay. Well, that being said, we will close this case.
Do we
And,
want to give the applicant the
Oh,
opportunity?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Anna. The applicant has 5 minutes to rebut if you choose.
We're fine. You know, I think as the letter indicated, there is never refuse kept on site. Jim does not detect there's physically.
Michael, you're
no way
breaking
that-
up. We're having trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were
Uh,
breaking
any
up.
better?
Yes.
Yeah, we have no issue with those, as our letter of intent stated, there is no refuse that's brought on site, they are empty, they're not stacked. And as the grading plan indicates, the berm is, being maintained. We're going to cut through it in a location probably for utilities, but that earth will be put back, so we have no issue with the statements from the neighborhood association.
And then no stacking.
Yeah, it's not physically possible to stack them. They come off the truck and roll, by gravity down to the ground. So there's
Understand.
no way of doing that.
All right. All right. Anything else, sir?
All set?
I guess the other question that I had in regards to refuse, I know that maintenance oftentimes has refuse. Brakes, cylinders, handles, those kinds of things. Will that be stored internally or externally from the building?
Internally in the building. Anything associated with the operations, Jim, as the nature of their business, they go to the landfill and they dump stuff off. So anything he generates will be, taken off as well. That's why, I think originally somebody had asked, would there be a dumpster? It's like, no, the nature of his business, he just takes, he gets rid of it as he generates it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Anything else? Commissioners? All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jim. And now we can close this case and we can close this hearing. I guess, commissioners, would you like to move right into deliberation? Okay, we will do that.
All
So-
I have to do is start a new stream. So we just
Okay.
have